Fun's over. Meeting's gonna start. Call this meeting to order. Roll call.
Commissioner Gator.
Here.
Commissioner Gallagher.
Here.
Commissioner Buck.
Here.
Quorum is present.
As you wish, please stand for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, please be with us this week as we know what the true meaning of Christmas is for. Dear Lord, let the families go out, enjoy, be safe. Be with us as we make the best decisions for the county. Dear Lord, thank you for all you do. I ask this in your Son, Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
For this last meeting of the year, we have a short consent agenda. A motion, please.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Now for the fun part. Budget. Hey, that's not as many papers you wrote yesterday.
I was the hearing, this is just to approve.
Okay.
Good morning, Amber Modulay Auditor's Office. In accordance with RSMO 50.600, the compiled budget for 2024 was posted on the website on 12/8. This was 10 days before the budget hearing that was held yesterday on 12/18. We've made the changes addressed in the budget hearing and have provided a compiled budget for 2024. In summary, the 2024 budget includes $52,688,320.67
67?
in revenue. Yep. And $45,509,849.89 in expenses, with a surplus of $7,178,470.78. Both those revenue and expense figures include transfers to and from other funds. This includes money transferred from the local use tax fund, which is also known as Prop P, to law enforcement sales tax. To date, the county has received $2,117,437.95 in Prop P funds, all of which was transferred to LEST in 2023. And for 2024, we anticipate $2 million in revenue, all of which has been budgeted to go to the LEST fund. Other transfers are from general fund to the 24th Circuit, which would be Circuit Court, Juvenile, Drug Court. Other funds include the Assessment Fund, General Stabilization, Emergency Fund, and LEST. Those transfers in total are $1,428,246.20. At this time, we are requesting the commission to approve the presented 2024 budget.
Okay. We had a hearing on this yesterday, and we've gone through much more detail than this. Motion?
I make a motion we approve the budget as presented.
Second?
Second.
Now, any questions?
I did want to point out that we do have the original budget that was posted on the website on 12/8, as well as made available in the auditor's office, as well as the changes and the final budget on the table for review.
Okay.
And as the auditor's office stated that all those funds from the Prop P were transferred to the LEST.
Correct, and we budgeted as much for 24 as
Did you
well.
see all of the funds that went to there? All of them.
Sit down.
Each question.
Any other questions?
Because as I've heard, some people said that we were going to divert it to use for other things, but all of the funds.
It's all 52 million. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. We've heard from Kevin now. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
We now have the 2024 budget.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you to the auditor's office.
Louis and your crew, thank you so much. Okay, bid opening, 2 trucks. Do you have bids? 2. We have 2 bids.
We will not take action on these today.
Okay, no action today. They'll be displayed out here somewhere.
And then come and take pictures, I guess. Anybody's here from the auto.
This is a bid from Pettis Auto.
And John, describe the trucks we're asking
Just half-ton pickup trucks,
for. 4-wheel drive,
4-wheel drive, 4-door.
Often for
standard bed,
Yep.
standard
Just
cab.
pretty generic trucks.
Standard cab,
4-door.
4-door. Gas,
Sleep
Yeah.
6.
Yep.
Comfortable?
Basic work trucks.
Yeah, and John, we have contacted all the locals where we wanted to give the locals all a shot at bidding on the trucks.
But we put it out to bid. I don't personally contact anybody, but they
Okay.
can find it in their.
And so you've opened all the bids publicly, right? Okay, moving right along. We'll maybe act on this, won't be next week, because we won't have a meeting next week. Okay, approval of engineering. Now, I added the for on-call work. Is that appropriate?
Well,
No, you're saying no. Is that for this job only then, or what?
It is specifically for this job, yes.
Okay.
They're already on our on-call list. We just need to approve them for this specific
Okay,
project.
I was thinking we had the RFQs and all that stuff on it, but I put that on there to make sure it's covered. Okay, so this is specifically for the survey of that property. Motion?
I make a motion, we approve the engineering company, Taylor Engineering, to survey the North Barn property.
Second?
I'll second that, but I wanna ask you something, Amber. They were already on call, on the on-call list, right?
Right, this is
So
your
we're-
public, this is where you're just saying specifically, because we have other engineers that are on call.
Okay.
We have to go in public session and say that what engineer we're selecting based
For
on
this
the
job.
qualifications on file for this project.
Okay.
But weren't they approved as trails and sidewalks or?
That was specific to that grant.
Oh, to a grant.
Okay, any other questions?
Well, I know like if we do something with, I know it's bridges and we've approved Smith and Company or Cochran, right? So if we do something with bridges, I don't bring that up in an open meeting if I have a question, since they're our on-call.
Well, you have to get the contract approved though.
But this doesn't exceed the 12,000 for a contract limit, right?
Correct, but we still have to go in session and say that it's because we don't have a specific contract, because it's not the 12,000. We don't
So
want-
when we-
Otherwise, they could go up to 12,000 and we
Correct.
wouldn't have approved it in a meeting.
So, just moving forward into 24, we're gonna approve these three engineers, or these three firms again, to work for the county. And if their scope of services covers surveying, do we have to come back in an open commission meeting to have it approved? Or can one of them just call, based off of scope of services that we ask from these engineers, as long as their bill does not exceed $12,000?
So in statute, it does say the commission has to approve every contract, no matter the amount. But specifically professional services, every professional service requires an RFQ, which we have them on call.
Which
However-
eliminates that RFQ process.
Correct, but then you're just saying, okay, for this specific contract, we're utilizing our on-call list and selecting this engineer instead of having to go through a whole RFQ process every time.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, request to bid, Mr. Clerk?
Yes, this is our standard bid package for the election, only for the April election, even though we have 3 elections this year. You have to bid for all the printing of the ballots, the counting machines, the equipment, that type of thing. Typically, it's a sole provider, but we have to legally put it out in a bowling, choosing actions, but it could be somebody else bid.
Will
Okay.
this cover the 24, the whole year,
For
or
April.
just April
Next.
24 election?
Now, you said machines. Are the machines part of the supplies?
Yes. The programming of the machines all have to be programmed and calibrated, checked, so that's part of the package.
Okay.
We actually have 9 different things that they will be bidding on, and they will be laid out in the bid.
Okay. Okay,
We get buttons this year, or we get stickers?
so
If
file
you push a
question.
button, I'll get you a button. And maybe George Wallace or Eagle.
Well, a lot of them had the 2022 election on the.
I like that, yeah.
Okay, motion?
I make a motion, we accept the bid, or approve the bid for the election supplies for the county clerk's office.
Second?
Second.
Hey, it was a big empty screen. I had to put something on it.
This would be less than April because we're not required to print, for example, 100% of the ballots. In the state, federal, we will have to, if we have 40,000 people on the rolls, we have to you have that many
Yeah.
ballots. And they're never all gonna show up, but you have to have.
Complete with leftovers.
Okay, and then pay to have the leftovers to strike. On the April was a lot less. We typically would print 20 to 30%, even only 6% show up.
The only reason I say that about the buttons, I just bought a bunch of old buttons from somebody, I collect them too.
You do?
Yes.
I might have to will you mine.
Sounds good.
All right, any other questions? Getting out of this. Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Second. Public inquiry, you run it, and there's your pointer, and there's your arrow.
Well, this is really just a little inquiry on Owl Creek. When I first come in as commissioner, we this Owl Creek has been laying around the county. I mean, it actually started, I think, back in 2000.
It's been in the same place though, right?
Yeah,
It's
the
been laying in
same,
the same place.
yeah, which is,
We've heard from Kevin again.
yeah. I mean, as the older bunch all grown up, we've known this as Bone Hole, but it's now considered, it's gonna be the Owl Creek Park, and we really had an inquiry yesterday on it, and starting next month, this will be bid out. This will happen, and the public inquiry is, the first phase of this will be bid next month, and it's actually a 1 1/4 mile trail, and it will actually be at the old Owl Creek, the Bone Hole, and Road and Bridge now has made a nice parking lot over there to start really in the first phase of it. The county, we're really looking at public input in the future. We're gonna mark the trails. There'll be a walk and bike trail of 1.25 miles. We're actually, that'll be the first phase, and we're already looking at other phases to come in, and we really would like to have a public inquiry on, in the future, what the citizens want, the people want to do with Owl Creek. We actually, in the future, we're looking at possibly around 800 acres to develop. This will develop over the years, and I'm really kind of tickled to see this is gonna happen. This will start, we've got the parking lot. We know the phases we're going into. Bridget, our grant coordinator, we've done enough study on it to know for the next phases what we have to have, and we're gonna start implementing that next month. So in the future.
Do you have the pointer? Would you point out where the kind of the general boundaries are for the people?
Well, I need to get up, I can't read that right there. Yeah.
Boundaries of the park.
Is that
will
your
run-
racetrack?
This is where the old Bone Hole, the old landfill is right here, the road, and it actually comes across down the side of this pond, around that, on the side of that racetrack there, comes down, and then comes back up.
Basically to the river.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The first phase will actually, this is actually Big River here. This is Big River, and the first phase will start, John, am I right? This is the dam right here.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, there's a new parking lot right here. Actually, the trail will start, it'll come and go across the dam, and this is actually a pond that was built, and that was used, I think the dirt, am I right, was down on the dam.
They use that dirt.
Yeah, and there was a lot, we've got a lot of excess rock right here now that we can use. But the trail will come across the dam, and it'll cut back and go along the river here. There's some site views,
Beautiful
points,
side views.
that you can look at the bluffs alongside, which we were pretty well informed yesterday. We're gonna have to make some adjustments on the bluffs, maybe some rocks out there for safety. But it actually be 1.25 miles, walking trail, bike trail. It'll be 10 foot wide. It's ADA approved, so wheelchairs, whatever, you'll be able to. And that, I think in the grant, it has to be 10 foot wide. And the reason is,
And paved.
yeah, paved for if something would happen to ambulances, we have to abide by the ADA rules. Now that will be the first phase, and that will be bid out next month. we're already looking into what we have to do for the second phase to keep this progressing. And the second phase would come, which would be another 2 miles, would come along and it'd go along Gumbo, the backside, and that would be in the second phase. The phases that we were looking to with the public would be on the other side here. We actually have a 2.5 and a 1.5 mile loop, and right here is an old haul road. And I'm just giving you an input. This is in the plans, but we have to develop it as we go. This would be a haul road, and it connects to the 2.5 mile loop, and this is where we want the public in the future to give their emphasis on what they would like to have there. So we will be having future meetings, and we'd like to hear from groups around to develop this park as we go. But,
And if they're familiar, Terry, with ADA, they're going above and beyond, and they call it an ADA, which goes a step above the ADA.
More stringent.
Yes, so they're doing it right.
But this was just kind of an inquiry where everybody gets an idea of what's going on, but this is really gonna happen. I want to thank, really, I'm just here, you know, to help, but, you know, there was, before you had some commissioners, Patrick, and to thank everybody for getting this developed, but this, I just want them to know this is gonna happen. And it wouldn't have happened without people here helping to get this developed. So I wanted to thank everybody for helping, and I think you're gonna see this in the future. You know, the south end has a park. The north end of the county will have a nice park, and we want them to help develop it. So
How far is this from city of Deloge?
it's actually lays right on the border of the city of Deloge.
So you think maybe there'll be a bike trail?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're really looking at the future to connect, and actually this side with the Hall Road. Once you get to the Hall Road, in the future, we'll be looking at developing and connect and come out of Deloge. So the bathrooms will be built here. We're really looking right now in the process of what type bathrooms. They'll probably be a start to being primitive, but they will be built to have the water access where we can get water to them, electric. It'll probably be, we were talking, Harold, on the bathrooms, really septic systems for
Pump
down there.
storage or something
Pump
else.
storage systems for the bathrooms, but
We'll look at the economics on that.
yeah. But this is just kind of an inquiry to let you know what's going on, and in the future, we want the public's input on what they want.
It's moving faster and faster now. In the past month, 2 months, we've created the position of superintendent, and now we've approved to accept applications for the job. And so that will move quickly. Bob?
Would it include ultimately camping areas?
Well, as the phases go, I mean, we're looking at in the future, it's probably gonna be somebody provides me development, because, I mean, I'm not saying it's took 4 years to get here. In 4 more years, where we'll be, so whoever comes in, we really look to really develop this.
That's our hope.
Potentially, yeah.
We can be looking at a possibly 1,100 acres here, floating, camping. It's really what, as the citizens come in, what they want, how we can develop in the grants. It will be grant funded. We might have to put in a percentage, a lot of the grants are what, 80-20, but the bulk of it will be preference grants. So that's why we're here to have an inquiry where people really know what's going on. I know the Journal, Dan's been out there with me, so he kind of understands once you see there's more there than just a 1.5 2 mile park. We've got a really nice place to build a nice park over there that people be proud of. So.
And you've also been talking with conservation department,
Conservation,
natural
Fish, wildlife.
resources, et cetera. So.
Well, once it starts, like they got to eradicate cedars, olive, and that will start next month when they bid it. The DNR department with the state will come in and start eradicating cedars, olive, invasive plants and species, and in the next year we'll probably close the park to start it, because when they're in cutting the trails, we'll close it and
I think you mean during the next year,
Yeah,
but for
yeah.
a shorter period of time.
for a short period
Not
of
for the whole
time.
year.
But
And,
it's
and,
currently closed.
yeah, once we bid it, it probably wouldn't start till spring. They'll start developing the trails, so. That was just, like I say, we're just kind of giving a heads up to the people what's gonna be going on over there. We do want your input of what you'd like to see over there in the future. So, that's about all I have to say, but this is happening. And I just wanted to thank everybody before me and in the future of what's going on. I want to thank them for it.
Yes, thank you. And we want this superintendent hired, want that person to be involved with the development and the processing of it. Want this to be that person's ownership, if you want to call it that. So, thank you. Any questions? Okay, Airmed Care membership agreement, Corey's not here, I don't know who's gonna handle this.
We just gotta sign off on it, we have to renew it, that's
Okay.
it.
Now, I am a member privately of this, how does that affect me, anything?
Other than the fact that I think you get a little discount for taking it off of your,
Yeah.
payroll deduction, that, other than that, it doesn't really affect you.
Okay.
It's like
I take it
$7
off
a
too.
check or $3 a check, so it's not like.
Well, I just paid for the
Yeah.
lump sum for my own, so
Yeah.
I didn't get the benefit of that, so moving. Any discussion on this, or?
I was just gonna say, this is all employee funded.
Yeah.
The employees elect to be a part of this
Well,
program.
we do need to act on it, correct?
Correct, the county funds it up front, but then through payroll deductions, it's funded, but it's not.
Okay.
anything that
Yeah, we've offered,
Ultimately costs
we've
the
offered
county.
several things
Voluntary.
Correct.
on voluntary and supplemental policies that the employees fund and benefit from, so.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the AirMed Care membership agreement for the employees of the county.
I'll second.
Questions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, this is the last meeting for this year. We go holidays, yeah, the funds over for the year.
Oh.
But, next week is too busy for a meeting, and then we go into new term on the Tuesday following. Okay, there's your announcements for the holiday closing. Next meeting is next week is no meeting. And, other business, anybody have correspondence? Public comments? Departmental reports? Yes.
So Commissioners, you just approved the budget for next year, and I just want to point out to our citizens, our taxpayers and everything, that the report is available. It's only 77 pages for you to go through to line item by line item. I know Parks has already reviewed it.
3 times.
And he did it 3 different times.
Mine's annotated and all that.
So you can use Harold's
Yes.
for the Reader's Digest version. I want to point out that the consensus revenue estimate from the governor's office showed a 7% increase for the current fiscal year of general revenue. They predict a 0.7% decrease for next year for a net general revenue of 0.2% for fiscal year 2024 into 25.
Louis, explain again that decrease you mentioned. What was that?
So for fiscal year this year, July 1 to June of next year, there was a 7% increase in general
That's
revenue.
right.
They're projecting for the next fiscal year that the actual general revenue will be an increase of 0.2%
From baseline.
from baseline.
Okay.
Okay, so with that, that'll impact, of course, not only county governments, but city governments as well. So with that, we have recommended to all the department heads and to the office holders, particularly for the next 6 months, going in the first 6 months of this year, to watch your expenditures very, very closely, because that'll be the tell of, we feel the first 6 months will give us a better idea of obviously what's going to happen in the next 6 months. So with that, we all know that we have to have revenue to pay the expenses. It's just like you've got to get your paycheck to buy the groceries, and we know groceries have gone up, and so has the cost of doing business in the county. Sales tax is what drives our bottom line. There there's no doubt about it. We enjoy the property tax that you all pay, but it's also the sales tax that is the amount that really pays everything that we really need. It's interesting that, and I had no idea that up until this morning, that Commissioner Buckley was going to give a presentation about Owl Creek Park. This will be a park that will be joining 6 other state parks that's in our immediate area, which is basically an hour's drive from St. Louis or Cape Girardeau. We sit in a good tourist area. So we know that, and I think Kevin can confirm this, tourism, I think, is the 2nd largest revenue producer for the state of Missouri. Agriculture, I think, is number 1, and tourism is 2nd. Tourism should be very, very important on our radar for attracting business to St. Francis County. And that is why I'm suggesting to the commission, for your consideration, that we build a St. Francis County tourism website. I have no idea if our technology department can do this.
I'm staring him down now. He's saying, yeah, you're looking.
Yes, we can make a basic website and have insight from different departments to put things into it and keep it up to date.
And I think that would be critical to expose what we, now I know that different chambers of commerce on their websites, they promote their individual activities. But this would be an all-encompassed website to promote the festivities. I mean, we have multiple motel rooms in this area. We have great attractions. We have the Centene Center. Next year we'll have 2 water parks in St. Francis County. So I think it'd be incumbent that the commission would go ahead and take a look at producing this as quickly as possible for the next year. Invite the folks to see what Bonne Terre offers, what Park Hills offers, what Farmington, Deloge, and in fact Leadington, Bismarck, and Iron Mountain has to offer.
I know you're unfamiliar with golf courses,
Oh, and there are golf
but
courses.
they bring in a
We've
lot
heard
of
again
people.
from Kevin, by the way.
The Elks are having their state tournament here the next 2 years, 500 people from Thursday to Sunday that will fill up every hotel room. That brings revenue, but that's good.
So that is the bottom line, ladies and gentlemen. The bottom line is we need that money at the bottom line. And we can do this by just promoting ourselves with that sales tax. I think Farmington has hotel tax
Yes, we have hotel.
as well. So
They
it
call
all,
it a transient tax.
Yeah.
It seems kind of weird, but
Yeah.
so what that does, of course, is enhance the production of our bottom line, which in turn will hopefully be able to buy concrete, because it's going up next year,
Asphalt.
asphalt,
Or yes.
and
Equipment.
you're gonna buy trucks next year. Oh, and maybe the employees would like to have a raise next year.
what is that, good point, what's that in the budget? What percentage is in the budget for employee raise?
Well, that would only be for this year, and we.
Yeah, but for the following year.
Well, I know, but what is
Oh,
it this year?
4% total.
4%, which is almost exactly what the consumer, they're raising Social Security.
Alright.
Okay.
You just have to do that.
All right, Louis, I have a question.
Yes.
Their predictions from the state on this 2.2%, how close has that been in the past?
Well, they've never done this, as I think I'm right on this, Kevin. I don't think they've ever done this, what do
They call it consensus revenue, I don't wanna, I guess they do it, but they would typically fudge and make it higher than what they think, so that then the governor, it's a game, the governor makes it higher than he can do the withholdings. But I had extended conversations with my son this weekend, who does the budget for the House, and he said because of the tax cuts that they've made, they've triggered the revenue. The only saving grace is all that money from the federal government, they did not spend it all. They have about $5 billion that they set aside. Some of it will have to be used for Highway 70, but they're not in the situation where we were in 08 and 09, that we didn't know how the heck we were gonna cash checks the next week. We had to borrow money from from accounts just to clear checks. They have a few billion sitting because they did not spend it all from the federal government. But their cash flow, you gotta look at their cash flow, is predicted to be flat, which everything goes up. That means less services, and in particular, the biggest expenditure in that area is the foundation formula for schools. That goes up every year, and they're not gonna have the revenue. They're gonna have to take some of their reserves, like you were talking about yesterday, how much reserves, they're gonna have to take some of the reserves just to pay for normal expenses, and that's never good.
And traditionally, they do that after the first of the year. I think this is the first time that the group has gotten together
Before.
prior to the start of the year.
It's probably true because they felt that it wasn't going to be real great for us knocking out a budget. They wanted everybody to know before they come in with all the requests for all their pet projects that there's no money for that.
Right. So they will have, like as Kevin mentioned, state will have $5 billion, but how much of that is, and that's ARPA money primarily.
Primarily.
And how much of that is gonna be filtered down to counties is really questionable, if any at all.
And it affects us in things like our reimbursement for housing their prisoners. This is the first time with all that money that came in, that they've caught up on what they owe us in about a decade, you know, and because they just said, oh, sorry, we can't pay you all, everything we owe you for housing our prisoners, and just don't pay you. That was one of the things we kept putting off.
Is that the per diem you're talking about?
The per diem that we charge the state for our jail to house their prisoners.
So much per day.
So much per day. They were behind, the state was behind for almost a decade. Now, they've used some of this money to pay that off, but that's how it affects us, is if they start getting behind, then they start saying, oh, well, counties can hold on.
Yeah.
So in your monthly sales tax report that Parks provides us from the Treasurer's Department, you've seen the last, 3-4 months, 1%, 1.5%, 2% increase. The use tax is going to where it's supposed to go, but we projected just a flat increase for this year through sales tax. So if we can do a little simple thing like post on the website, not particularly on, yes, on our website, but a true dedicated St. Francis County tourism website. And maybe there's local sponsorship that is available, or grant possibilities to promote that, because we've seen some of that come down, but we haven't seen anything firm on how that can be directed to promotion of tourism. Am I right, Bridget?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, you made a great point. Sales tax, where it's at, and the collector this year broke down the line items on your taxes, and it was the first time I ever said, I didn't know that the county didn't get that much. Yeah, the county gets just a very, very, very small, less than about 1% of the tax, and we cannot get by on that real estate tax. There's just
Okay, explain that a little bit further. What are you talking about there?
Well, when you pay your bill.
Because of rollback?
No, well, yeah, no, but our 2 cents approximately what we charge, our real estate taxes and our personal property taxes this year, put line by line, who got everything. And I think it might have been the first time people realized the county doesn't get hardly anything. It's the local schools, the community college, and down the line, but we are last far as, you know, which is fine, but to Louis' point, sales tax is what
Yeah,
pays our bills.
we generated just north of 13 million last year, 23. The accepted number is that 68% of that comes from visitors to the county. 32% comes from our residents.
I rest my case.
Yeah, if you can develop this tourism that much more, then that 68% comes higher. Okay, thank you.
Awesome, that's good.
Well, that's in the future, what Louis is talking about. Local tourism or local parks, I don't know if a lot of them, I know that I see some courthouse walking St. Joe Park to trails. In the future, we need to connect them. You know, the cities, there's grants out there for sidewalks, which we talked with Park Hills, Leadington, Farmington, to start connecting these things with bike and walking trails. That's great for tourism. I mean, we really got to look in the future.
That's something you could advertise in St. Louis to come down.
Yeah.
To a
I mean, do
40
you
mile.
want to walk down St. Louis at 10 o'clock at night, you know, with the whole year?
there's.
wife's hand or come down here, you know. They're gonna come down here and we need that. We can promote it.
One of our thoughts, and it's kind of been kicked around, is connecting Leadington or the Mac entrance to Farmington by bike trail and walking trail. And we looked around at that, and if you think about that, that passes the entrance to St. Joe Park on the overpass. So there are just, that just opens up all kinds of possibilities. We have people walking that now, but they're walking out in the middle of the road. So it's not in paper yet, but we're kicking that around.
Yeah, and in the future, you know, the parks, like Louis said, you know, we've got St. Francis. We're getting a new bridge on Monterey. If we can connect to Deloche, to Owl Creek, to St. Joe, to Farmington, St. Joe and Farmington's already connected. If we can connect all these, it'll help us tremendous. It'll bring the people here.
You look at the tourist attraction of the Katy Trail and all these different
Yes.
communities the Katy Trail goes through, it's amazing. I mean, that's, if you took that out, they'd probably, I mean, that would really hurt their growth and probably not be as much of a destination.
I mean, the only process between here, what I see in, say, the private industry, it just takes longer. Here in government, it just takes longer. You know, I'm here to see.
For instance, that parking lot had to be
You gotta
started.
jump through certain loopholes.
Yeah.
That parking lot had to be started at the park before they could do other things,
Yeah.
paperwork wise. Had to be showing progress. And
It's-
there are sometimes, like on a bridge, we can't start the bridge until the paperwork starts. So you really have to be careful in the order that you do things.
It takes a lot longer in government than it does in private world to do something.
Yeah.
So, you know, it just takes, it's a process. You have to.
Okay, are there any other departmental reports?
For Sheriff Dan, he's doing the shop with the cop today.
Yes.
I saw a report that is today.
Yeah, they were on the news this morning. Everybody got up, turned the news on. They were there at 6 o'clock this
Yeah.
morning. I mean, them guys, this is probably the biggest shop with a cop in the country. And it was advertised well this morning.
I mean, the whole time I was there, that line never went down either, so it was pretty cool.
What, do they have $500,000 or so to hand out? to kids?
500 and over 500 kids.
And each kid got $100, I believe. And they said the big problem is the kids don't want to buy for themselves. They buy for other people. Okay, any other thing?
I make a motion we adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you.